So it's nice to have a couple of options when it comes to scan tools, guys, because sometimes you get the sinking feeling that your scan tools not quite feeding you the right data. And sometimes you can have an issue with a module that will corrupt the raw data and its processed data, its output is no right, but sometimes it's just a scan tool. Let's take a look. So I'm back out here in my boy's car here, guys. I'm still struggling to come to terms with this hesitation and stumble on the car. And I realize it's a wee bit difficult to see this old school motor screen, but I've only got two parameters displayed on here. One is the mass airflow, as you can see on the lower graph here, and one is there's a lot of glare. Yeah, sorry, you're gonna have to put up with it. So what I'm going to show you here, guys, is it seems to be a discrepancy between the engine RPM and the mass airflow sensing. Doesn't seem right to me. Let me give you a demonstration. Let me just slowly raise the RPM. It's updating from the right hand side of the screen here, guys. So the RPM's coming up, and as you could expect, you'd expect to see an increase in mass airflow. Yeah, doesn't really matter what the values are, but the absolute values are, you know, what's important here. If we have a change in RPM, you'd expect to see the amount of air going through the engine changing in an almost synchronized manner. Yeah, not quite, because the air has inertia, of course. It'll act a wee bit differently from the RPM, but you get the idea. And what I've noticed here is there's a definite discrepancy on quick throttle actuation. Now keep in mind, the issue with the car is there's a stumble on rapid acceleration. So what I'll show you here is, let me just blip the throttle quickly. Hopefully you can hear that on the soundtrack. So there's the RPM went up. Really no change in mass airflow. That doesn't add up to me. And I've only got two parameters on the screen, so I don't think it's an updating issue. I'll do it again. It's a wee bit slower. So there's the RPM increase. And again, very little change on the mass airflow. That doesn't seem right to me. How that can't be right with the engine RPM climbing significantly and no real increase in mass airflow. The car's being fueled based on the mass airflow. It's one of the high authority sensors, of course, right? That doesn't seem right. It seems like the response rate is really slow. Now, one of my two cars here, these cars are virtually identical. I have the advantage of course, being able to swap the scan tool over to my car here and comparing it to my boy's, but that just doesn't seem right. I mean, look at that. Sorry about the glare, guys. There's not much I can do about that. You know, two spikes in the RPM with no increase in mass airflow. Again, little wonder that there's a slow response if the car is not fueling for the correct amount of air. Easy, pal. Don't get ahead of yourself. You've been making a bad habit of that lately. Go get the other scan tool and verify the data. That's tracking the RPM and the mass airflow just fine. Good example of, I guess, why you need more than one scan tool. Okay, that kind of thrown me for a loop. So this has got me a bit concerned. There is a significant discrepancy between this car, my boy's car, and my car with respect to the mass airflow. The grams per second on the other car it's the same engine. They're both 2-liter gasoline engines. Not quite the same mileage, but mine has actually got more. They're both getting a wee bit tired, but almost almost a full gram at times, you know, difference in mass airflow. That's, I mean, that can't be right, surely. But these numbers clearly are saying that you have a lean condition, and if there's false air getting in, it's going to translate to low mass airflow. That makes sense to me, but I don't know. I'm starting to struggle here, guys. Perhaps I'll interchange the mass airflow sensors between cars just in case this sensor is getting tired. But perhaps this is speaking to an internal engine condition, you know. Is it? But check the. I put the vacuum gauge on the intake, and it was over 19 inches of vacuum at idle. That seems pretty healthy. I'm just an amateur mechanic, guys, but I think that number is reasonable. Over 19 inches of mercury over at idle. And yeah, but that number, there's quite a significant discrepancy between the two cars, which makes no sense. That is telling me it is running lean. I had to abandon my notion that the catalytic converter was clogged because I couldn't prove that out either. I checked the back pressure on the exhaust. I pulled the O2 sensor, and no real significant back pressure was there. So I don't think that's the case. Bit of a head scratcher. You guys got any thoughts on this? I'll be happy to hear it. Yeah, no, I mean, it's, you know, you can live with it, but there's something not quite right. It's just, even right now, I can feel the slightest stumble, and it is a stumble, I think. I don't think it's a misfire. I just think it's a stumble because it's just running too lean. I'll bring the RPM up. The long term goes down to 0, but the short term still stays high. I don't know. I'm not really sure. This will start to clock back up as soon as it starts to update again. Yeah. Anyway, I'm all ears if you guys have got any suggestions. Walker's toffee. Your dentist will love them. So it's not all a bummer today. The Amazon guy showed up. My kids give me a gift card for Father's Day, so I put it towards. I've wanted one of these articulating cameras for a while, you know. This is the Teslong TD450S, as the box says. Who knew? But yeah, the camera actually articulates here, so you can move it. And the beauty of it is it actually goes virtually 100. Whoop! Sorry, trying to hold everything here steady here, guys. Like 180 degrees. So of course you could snake that through a spark plug hole. Sorry. And get a look at the valves. There's my shoe. That's fabulous, huh? Zoom up. Again, the articulation. And there's my nitrogen tank. Look, lovely. Anyway, that's it, boys. Cheers. Oh, let me know if you want a closer look at this thing. It's pretty handy, you know. That's it, boys. Cheers. For once, somebody cleverly designed the case, so it's no nightmare to try and spiral up the stow, the conduit and wiring for the camera.